In the spirit of self-sabotage, I'm going to open today's episode with indecision. I can spend as much time deciding what to do than actually doing whatever it is I decide to do. I get angry at Kenny sometimes about this. He'll ponder something so long that it's too late to do anything he was pondering. Today, in this episode, and several events in the last several weeks, have me pondering my indecision and how does that play into my self-sabotaging behavior. You're going to listen to an episode today that I recorded on July 28th. I had a really rough day, July 28th. I've had a handful of them since. Every time I turn around and looking at content to repurpose and looking at blogs to reread, podcast episodes to re-listen to, I seem to be drawn to, if you find yourself in a hole, stop digging. Or the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. So today is September 17th. Kenny and I had a big blowout this morning. And while not going into detail, the conversation we were having, we've had 9,000 times. And so I put my foot down. This conversation will never happen again, and here's why. And I laid out some steps that we need to take that I am not quite ready to share publicly. But it was an ultimatum. We either do this or we separate. And we're not raising this child together and we're not building a life together. I'm done. We need to fix this. And this conversation has failed 8,000 times. Indecision. I'll start my diet next week. Okay, I'll start training on the 1st of the month. I'll clean the house tomorrow. I'll get to my task list for my editor Monday. On and on and on and on. Procrastination, reorganization, indecision. So I recorded this episode July 28th and then sent it to my editor and then immediately said, no, I'm not ready for this one yet. And had 5 more episodes or so with guests. Then I said, okay, now we can have this episode. It was episode 211, except it wasn't 211. It was going to be 206. And when you listen, you're going to hear 206 8 million times. That's fine. It is what it is. Last week was 211, which was actually 67. Do you see where I'm going here? Chaos, pandemonium, procrastination, indecision, doubt, self-doubt. So I'm playing it now. You're going to hear the episode I recorded 2 months ago. Why? Well, because I said a lot of things that I really want people to hear. And it was the beginning of a path for this new season called Spilling the Tea. Spill the tea, you say? Don't cry over spilled tea. Some of this might be confusing because I'm going to keep referencing episode 206. I'm also going to suggest that you go back and listen to episode 67. I already played episode 67 last week. So if you didn't hear it, if you didn't listen last week, you don't have to go looking for an episode. Just play last week's episode and then listen to this one. Sign up for my newsletter as well if you're not getting it. I'm doing some changes there. It'll be a little more spicy, a little more punchy. I don't use it for sales. I'm re-releasing some blogs that I've written as well. Actually, the current blog post on my website right now that was released today on my email is a re-release. So go ahead and reread it. Guess what it's on? Self-sabotage. I need to give a shout out to my editor here because the number of times he's had to say, okay, so let me get this straight. I'm playing this episode with a new intro. Yes. Since re-releasing self-sabotage and listening to it like 50 times, I am taking stark notice of the things that I continue to do that I know do not work. I'm also paying attention to where I divert my anger because really I should look in the mirror and be angry at that person if I need to have anger. I'm taking some more action now as opposed to planning to take action. I have a long way to go. So let me invite you along for the ride. I had blueberry muffin chai tea latte today. It was delicious. I didn't spill any of that tea. It went right down the gullet. Buckle up and listen to episode 212, which will not be mentioned in anything you hear from this point on. Enjoy the listen. Hey, everybody. It's me, Barb, starting episode 206 on a steamy, hot, flawless summer day. It is the day before my birthday as I record, so my last day being 61. I did a little Facebook Live this morning about dance camp and dropping off Jack and Gracie at Concord Dance Academy, and just what a whirlwind of circular emotions I had around that. Remembering bringing Gracie and Molly to dance camp when they were little, and now raising Jack, and what am I doing the same and what I'm doing different, and am I just constantly repeating old habits hoping they're different? And that got me thinking about the AA quote, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. And then my mind goes crazy. And then I sit down and I can't function. And I waste an hour looking for a serotonin dopamine boost by scrolling on the phone or whatever it is. And here I am at 12:30 in the afternoon recording a podcast episode I could have started 2 hours ago. So why did I start episode 206 this way? Because if there was ever an illustration of what goes on in my head, this would be it. There's a funny meme on social media right now that says, I went into the kitchen to do a load of dishes, but I vacuumed the living room, paid some bills, and now I'm folding laundry. And it illustrates the fact that people, especially women and mothers, multitask in ways that are unmatched by anyone else, I think, in life. I can't walk through my house without noticing 50 things that need to be done or should be tended to. I seldom notice the positives. And I think that's another chronic mom issue. Anyway, as I come out of my current / last season, which is season 11, I had a bunch of guests interspersed with some real-time sort of emotional single episodes. I'm moving ahead now, and I'm going to do a series of episodes, which I'm going to call Spilling the Tea. So some of it is I'm going to give the whole actual full story, and I'm going to talk about some of the things in my life that have been pretty stressful. My job loss with the school district, my job loss at Bo, all of the rumors and disgusting things that went along with those two experiences that really silenced me at the time. I'm going to talk a little bit more about my relationship with my teacher in high school. Those topics, not that they happened to me, but that they happened, are incredibly valid and necessary in current political reality and social reality. I'm going to talk about spilling the tea about me, so to speak, in the sense that as much as I organize my life and have a beautiful home and try to run a foundation and do all of these things that are good things, I'm a disastrous mess most of the time. And maybe it's imposter syndrome. Maybe it's just me not wanting to be disingenuous. Maybe it's me only seeing what needs improvement, like only seeing the mess and not seeing the clean, right? I have this amazing web page person, my web designer, Judy, and she has been restructuring my website. So you need to go look at it if you haven't, my 1,000 Tiny Steps website. We're really starting to categorize what I talk about. When I look at really successful podcasts and very successful blogs, they're very narrow in focus. They address one thing, and that's what they address. And so if you Google search grief, you can find tons of things on grief, but I talk about everything. I remember thinking, what would I name my, TikTok page if I named one? And I could do Barb Fit. I could do Old Lady Baby Mama. I could do Me Too. I could do Old Lady CrossFitter. I have so many areas of quote unquote expertise and experience that I could market myself to. But I don't like being that narrow. I'm sort of a jack of all trades. In looking at the layout of my new website and helping to categorize what I talk about and what subject they fall under, I started rereading and re-listening to episodes that I've done before. And so I'm going to spend some time in my Spilling the Tea, re-releasing old episodes, or like this one, starting a new episode, number 206, talking about a subject that I've already addressed and suggesting you go back and re-listen to episode 67, which is what today's episode is, self-sabotage. I listened to it. It was fantastic. I should listen to it every day. I should take notes on what that girl Barb Higgins said 2 years ago. No, 3 years ago. It'll be 3 years. I should pay attention to her. I should reread the books that she referenced in that episode. So why am I doing this today? Well, here's where we are. So always my goals are to have a clean, organized house. And my house is as messy and jumbly as it was when I hired Karen Kenny in the fall of 2021 to clean it for the TV people. I spent a good $1,500 paying her to help me clean and organize my house, and we did. And now it looks like I've never done any of that. I have had 2-3 dumpsters in the past 5 or 6 years. My house is once again, full to the ceiling in many rooms of just stuff. It overwhelms me. I look at it and I just turn around and walk away. So there's one. And that's a bit of self-sabotage. I think my external clutter is a way of distracting me from my internal clutter. That's the clutter piece. Then there's the athletic performance piece. And I set these goals for myself. It was 2 years ago that I did the Get Better Girl and changed the way I ate, changed the way I did. I lost weight. I was healthy. I felt good. And I am probably in the worst physical shape I've been in since that time, since before that time. Why do I spend the money to listen to people, to clearly either work against myself. I feel like I'm following what everyone says, and I weigh 148, sometimes 146. I haven't been this heavy since forever. It irritates the crap out of me. Then there's the diet piece and the alcohol piece, and I go in and out of dealing with that. And then there's the biggest thing of all, having a functioning Molly B Foundation that actually has money. All I do is say yes to people, and then I fundraise, but I don't fundraise enough. So now here it is, August, as you're listening, and I still have to pay $13,000 in Molly B Foundation scholarships, and I still have to pay track camp. And I'm busy, paying for running the foundation and buying the t-shirts for all these plays. And so what am I going to do? Take a loan out and use my own money once again to pay for quote unquote Molly B Foundation things? Here I am spilling the freaking tea. I am self-sabotage, all capital letters, flashing lights around it, loud background music, streaming on TikTok. That's what I am. That's how I feel right now. In re-listening to episode 67, I realized that the depth of the emotional triggers and the things that happen when you've had a childhood of abuse and trauma, and then when you've had plenty of abuse and trauma in your adult life, it's very, very easy to not even notice that you're off path. What came to mind just now when I said that was JFK Jr. when he got his pilot's license, but he only was a visual pilot. And he was running late, and he was flying from New York City to Cape Cod on a beautiful summer night. But beautiful, muggy summer nights create cloud cover, and darkness comes when darkness comes. And he miscalculated the time it would take him to fly to Nantucket, and he crashed his plane. And he died, and his wife died, and his wife's sister died. So a family lost two children, another family lost one child. And in this horrific plane crash, the day before another family member's wedding, everybody's life was turned upside down from that one decision. That's how I feel sometimes in my head. How did I get back to flying a plane in the evening that I had no business flying? That's sort of how I feel right now. So along with my re-listening to episode 67, I went on my blog page, and I am going to read to you a couple of blog posts that I did that I love. What I did was I went to my website. On it, it says self-sabotage. This is like the heading of the web page. When I'm the one in my own way. I've spent years staying busy enough not to feel things. That's where I am right now, filling my days to avoid the stillness. Here is where I unpack the habits that hurt me, even when I tell myself they're helping. The overdoing, the burnout, the inner critic. These posts are about being honest with myself when I'm the one standing in my own way. So I'm going to scroll down and share with you the blog posts that fall under this title. The first one was called Sticks and Stones May Break My Bones, but Words Will Never Hurt Me. And then in parentheses, I put, This is a Lie. The next one, I've got my little list. And this was an episode from last summer when I did a season on this book called Breathing Underwater, which was like a spiritual view to the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous. This one was A Good Lamp Made a Searching and Fearless Moral Inventory of Ourselves. Step 4 of the steps in Alcoholics Anonymous is to make a fearless moral inventory. These are all things that come under self-sabotage, because for me, so many of my triggers are those emotional, inner critic and that sort of thing. The first one that really jumped out to me, and I'm going to read it to you now, I wrote in March of 2024, and the picture is a snowy, snowy view from my porch. How the snowy reality of spring in New Hampshire is a metaphor for life. I'm having a pretty rough day today. One element of being an adult survivor of child abuse is being easily triggered by seemingly non-traumatic events. These can be news clips, smells, songs, current events, terminology, and behaviors, to name a few. Politics can be a major trigger. I have many. Victim shamers would say to me that I am triggered because I let people pull my triggers, that if I didn't allow myself to have buttons, they would not be available for pushing. Comments like this are, of course, examples of mild manipulation that can lead to gaslighting. Gaslighting, a very well-known and likely overused term. I asked Siri for the definition and got this: to manipulate someone using psychological methods into questioning their own sanity or powers of reasoning. What you're doing here, I'm taking a pause from my blog, is getting someone to be unshaky in their own mind so you can more easily manipulate them and blame them for things you're doing. Okay, back to the blog. I spent several years with a covert narcissist. He was masterful at gaslighting as a form of manipulation. This manipulation and behavior are classic and telltale behaviors among true narcissists. While I am still recovering from the emotional, physical, and social ramifications this manipulation had on me, I am now quite astute at picking it up. It is rampant in our political world right now. Both conservatives and liberals use it quite well to brainwash the masses into believing things that are patently untrue. In true gaslight receiver form, the believers then argue not only with those outside their political party, but those within as well, when met with opposition. Gaslight receivers are referred to as flying monkeys in the narcissistic reality. I am getting ahead of myself here. Let me explain. The term gaslighting comes from a movie by that name. The movie Gaslight chronicles a husband as he uses the brightness of gas lights in his house to make his wife question her sanity. He dims them and claims they are normal brightness when his wife asks. He convinces his staff to support his behavior. Whether or not they believe what they are saying, they have been manipulated into supporting the husband. Gaslighting the masses is often done with propaganda. As much as I would like to give current examples of what is swimming through my mind right now, I am not going to. I recently shared my views on a current, highly contentious social issue and was lambasted by people who, I thought, had good heads on their shoulders. I was blasted with claims and information that a basic high school science student could disprove, except that that science student would also be blasted. I was told I was thinking incorrectly and that my definition of myself was inaccurate. So I stopped talking. This is another trigger for me, being told to be quiet, or being silenced by people who have dove headfirst into the rabbit hole. My interchange today took me back to the 1970s and the forced busing in Boston. Racial segregation was deemed bad for society. While this can sometimes be quite true, we cannot confuse communities with segregation. This is a big one. Still, I'm off my blog now. In current political realities and in the topic I'm talking to here, which was all about gender and identity and trans versus non-trans, and it was a massive fight online that I had over a year ago. I've had several more since. That's what I was talking about here. So I compared it to racial segregation. So let's keep going. Racial segregation was deemed bad for society. While this can sometimes be quite true, we cannot confuse communities with segregation. The greater Boston area's solution was to randomly choose students from all over the city and bus them to high schools in other neighborhoods. No surprise, it was an epic failure. Forcing desegregation does just that. It desegregates. It mixes up the black and the white. It does not build community. Our country is in the throes of let me force my thinking on you behaviors. I'm going to stop again for a minute. Both sides do this. And when I put a statement on my Facebook page that says both sides do this, I get blasted by people from each side claiming that their side does not. It's mind-boggling. Takes me back to elementary school playgrounds in the behavior of children. Our country is in the throes of let me force my thinking on you behaviors. It is affecting schools, businesses, sports, churches, and all of the people that use those spaces. This force of belief blames the victims so as to create a division that distracts decision makers from being able to look thoughtfully at a situation. I saw this in the movie Painkiller about the sale of OxyContin and how corrupt it was. There is a scene in the movie where the owner of the pharmaceutical company creates a campaign to use those customers who became addicted as the villains, and not the company's sales reps or the doctors who sold and prescribed the drugs. It worked. Those who became addicted to the drug were blamed for being weak. The very few who managed to escape without addiction used as proof. Right now, both sides of the political realm are using these techniques against women. Women are labeled a certain way to become poster children for or against reproductive and healthcare freedoms. Women must now fight women, trying to prove that they are right and the other is wrong. All of the propaganda and mistruths are used to blow smoke, which clouds the ability to watch major decisions about female freedoms get legislated into reality by politicians and judges. Just by rereading this blog post, I am feeling better about the fact that I feel like I've regressed and I'm on a spinning hamster wheel on a personal level. Culturally, we're no different than we were a year ago when I wrote this blog. On the other side of the coin, girls and women are pitted against one another over basic truths and day-to-day realities about who they are and where they do and don't belong. The minority opinions, complete with the same propaganda tactics used in the previous paragraph, divide the very people who are negatively affected by the legislation. Women are blatantly manipulated and guilted into agreeing to things that they know in their gut is wrong. This occurs on both sides. Women and girls are both the victim and the enemy. and the infighting distracts the very people at the center of the controversy from the actual reality. So why the snowy day reference? As pretty as a snowy day is to look out the window, it is utterly depressing in the month of March. We are ready for spring already. Give us sunlight and warmth, daylight and flowers. The weather today matches two conversations I have had, and the gut-twisting realization that really good people, both red and blue, believe really bad things. And while no one is telling me outright to keep the secret or you will get blamed, the things said to me today sent that message loud and clear. So I will be quiet, but I will not be still. So I wrote that in March of 2024. I do not remember the specifics of the conversation, but I do know that I've had several conversations around reproductive health, around menstruation and the birth control pill, around access to medical care, around medical testing not being done on women, around the transgender movement and gender ideology, and all the varying sides of that. And I know that in the big picture, culture and society and politicians and news propaganda, we're just doing the same thing. I don't know if we've made progress or gone backwards in the year since I wrote this blog about all these political things, but I know that I continue to get so hung up on these things and so full in my head that my house becomes a mess. I stop eating well. I don't pay attention to my workout schedule, and I allow others to manipulate me into doing things for them that cost me money. Yay! So that's what that blog said to me. This one is called Who is Really in Control? I wrote this in October of 2022, so almost 3 years ago. So, okay, here we are. The picture is of a Nike Boston cross-country team I ran on as a part of. The coach is Norm Levine, who coached at Brandeis. He was just a legendary track coach in Boston for decades. And he was, 5'3" on a good day, probably 5 feet wide. He had a big belly. He had a clipboard with a whistle. He smoked cigarettes for years. He was your classic, stereotypical coach of the 70s. I am a believer of what I call universal direction. We as humans, encased in a physical world, like to control things. Plan, measure, check in, revise as we journey through life. As a distance runner, this planning and revising was a daily task. All the training and motivational speeches and proper diet and alcohol avoidance were fine, but they didn't tell the story. It was the numbers, times and races, days necessary to recover, miles run in a week, races per season. And the numbers never lie. And they don't. They don't always tell the whole story, but they don't lie. The more I try to control things, the more frustrated I get. The most often piece of advice I receive from everyone in my life is to slow down. You can see as a runner why this may not make sense to me. Isn't that the exact opposite of what is necessary to win a race? Perhaps. But as I reflect upon my language as a coach, I am often reminding my athletes that the best place to be fast in a race is at the finish line. That perhaps early on there is time to back off the pace and run a more tactical race, to slow down. I came across this picture in a middle of the night scroll on my phone. I Google my name sometimes to see what comes up. It isn't always the same, and oftentimes I find something I have never seen before. Finding this gem has taken me on quite the memory journey. It also coincides with the time period of my life I am sharing in season 6 of 1,000 Tiny Steps, the podcast. This is where the universe comes in. I found this picture in the wee hours of Monday morning. I used it in my weekly email. I went to the original Facebook post upon which it appeared and read the comments. I saw the names of people I had forgotten I ever knew. This is when I love social media. Tuesday morning, the day my podcast is released and my email sent, the universe began to say hello. All those little nuances and coincidences that made no sense and all the sense simultaneously. So here we go. I had discussed alcohol consumption at length with my physical therapist on Monday. I then received a plea for moral support from a friend. I messaged her. She messaged me back. We chatted. Come to find out, she is taking a break from alcohol. She is battling the fallout of a less than healthy relationship. In her effort to relocate, she has rented an apartment in the same town where I coach CrossFit. This is a former runner of mine. We haven't seen each other in years. Both the conversation about the negatives of alcohol and the connection with my former runner are exactly what I need right now. Okay, universe, you have my attention. Next, as I was driving home from coaching, I put on a podcast. I use my car time to do such things. I chose The Karen Kenny Show. I seldom choose the actual episode. I just plug in the channel and see what comes up. It was a quick episode on time zones. How is this universal, you ask? The premise of the episode is that yes, we measure a day in 24 hours as humans, one trip around the sun for good old planet Earth. Depending on where you are on the planet dictates what time it is. This all fits right in with my desire to measure and control. But DST, Divine Standard Time, is what we are really living in. Sure, the clock on the wall might say 2 p.m., but that is simply a time tracker of sunrises and sunsets. DST is our spiritual barometer of progress and truly where we are in our journey. Things will happen as we are ready to receive them and as they present themselves. Fine, okay, universe, I get it. You're talking to me. The next little universal nudge came moments after I arrived. I had my good friend Taylor on my mind a lot yesterday. We live in separate towns and very different lives, so we communicate primarily through texting and social media. We never lack for conversation. I made a mental note to text her when I got home. After said home arrival, I picked up my phone to make said text, and there was a message from Taylor. Not just a hello, rather a long, interesting, meaningful message. Clearly, Taylor and I were plugged into the same toaster at that moment. Did you not hear me, universe? I got you. Okay, a little sidebar. I haven't spoken to Taylor now. It'll be a year, just about at this time. She cut me off completely. She did my kitchen remodel. She managed it. She never once came to see the end result. She's never seen the kitchen that I paid her a lot of money to design. That's another episode that will come along with Spilling the Tea. I'm not going to get into it now, but an important little carrot for me to hang out in front of everyone to keep listening. Find out the details of my life. Okay, back to the blog. Did you not hear me, universe? I got you. Apparently the universe did not receive my memo because I had one more occurrence to experience. I was checking my email and came across a message from a trauma therapist I had connected with weeks ago. I am looking to expand my podcast listenership and began researching potential guests. Mindy Higgins Kessler caught my eye. Both of her last names resonated with me, which was the original draw. She is a trauma therapist specializing in child abuse and related trauma recovery. I had all but forgotten we had connected when I received her message. Buckle up, says the universe. After a quick hello and a brief, I think we are supposed to connect, she shares the following. Her mother's name is Barb Higgins. Okay. Her daughters are named Gracie and Molly. Okay. And they were born in the same years as my Gracie and Molly. What? Bazinga. You don't have to hit me over the head 50 times. I got it. I'm not sure what all of these messages mean, but I do know that my connection to the other side is heightened right now, and I should pay attention. Slow down, notice things, look, listen, feel, breathe. So I will. I'm going to stop here again. I am right back into needing to read this. I could be reading somebody else's blog post right now. I need to hear all of these words. I don't think I ever made a formal connection with Mindy Higgins Kessler. Now I'm going to have to go back and relook at that. Is this something else I just let go by the wayside? Do I just not remember because I'm so frazzled I'm not paying attention to me? Hard to say. What does all of this have to do with the picture? So we're back to the picture of my Nike running team. Well, everything and nothing, I guess. Life to me is all about the connections. I love how I meet people that I know. Showing up at a dinner and seeing someone from my BU days. Chatting with someone else and finding out they lived next door to someone I know. All of the things I wrote about here. There is a reason this picture came up in my Google search, and I am preparing to ready myself to find out what it is. It will arrive in divine standard time, and I will be ready. Well, okay. Sure. Let's go with that. So here I am, episode 206, feeling frustrated at my physical health or lack thereof, frustrated at the disastrous nature of my house, frustrated at how I just feel so out of control and at the whim and beck and call of everyone but me, frustrated that my finances are as bad as they've ever been. I need to stop. I need to slow down. Again, I'm right back to where I've been over and over and over again. So why am I sharing this with you? Well, first and foremost, if you're in the same boat as I am, if you feel like you're right back where you started, I got you. I hear you. I get it. Can I fix it? No, probably I can't. But I can continue to share everything I've already created with you, either again, if you've already experienced it, or tell you, hey, go back and listen to this because I just did and it helped me. So as I close out episode 206, as I head to the gym, as I help my mother write a letter, as I pick up Jack and Gracie from dance camp, as I do all of the things that I need to do before day's end, I want you to know that I am a hot mess right now. And I'm going to take a big breath. Watch me do it. And I'm just going to slow down. I'm not going to tell myself, look at you, you pathetic piece of crap. I'm going to say, hey, Barb, what an opportunity this is to practice slowing down again. And I'm going to see what happens. And I'm going to create some realities. And I'm going to hope among hopes that August is a bit more organized and a bit more regrouped and a bit more focused than July has been. As you listen to this, I've been 62 for a couple of weeks now. As I give it, I'm enjoying my last few hours of being 61. Be good to yourself. Be better to yourself than I am to myself. I'm not always very good to myself, but I'm trying. No, I'm not trying. I'm doing. I am being good to myself. Be good to someone else, but not at the expense of yourself. Don't care so much about other people's feelings and such that you put yours on the back burner or hurt yourself to help them. That is not being good to yourself. It's actually not being good to them either. And as always, have a good day, everybody. Hey, thanks for listening and supporting the podcast. Feel free to leave a review and share my stories with your friends. Please reach out with your own stories, as I love connecting with my listeners. If you would like to get to know Molly, head over to mollybfoundation.org to see what she is all about. If you want to see what I'm up to next, you can find me on Instagram at barb_444, on Facebook as Barb Higgins, and at my website, 1000tinysteps.com. And while you're there, sign up for my newsletter, a weekly way to find out what's up in the life of Barb Higgins.